first of all, I mean, looking fantastic, fully dressed in black, Mr. Joseph Parker. How are we? We're talking about you.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me about this, right? There was a little moment yesterday with you and Zhilei Zhang. There was like a fist bump and a handshake and are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. How was all of that for you?
You know, before the fight, fighters show other fighters respect. And there's no reason why to waste energy outside of a fight, getting all angry and getting all tense. There's a lot of respect between us. But I know when it's fight time and fight night, it's going to be a lot different and a different story.
And you always walk towards the biggest challenges. We were just talking about this, how you said yes to Deontay Wilder, you said yes to Joe Joyce, you said yes to Zhilei Zhang, a guy who no one really wants to fight. Why do you keep saying yes?
Yes, man. In boxing, because I want to be challenged. And when you fight these big fights like this, I feel like it motivates me more and pushes me a lot better when I'm in camp and in training, and when times get hard you think of this big challenge in front of you. So I respect Zhang and what he's done, and he thinks he's going to beat me and I think I'm going to beat him, and I got a good game plan with Andy Lee and George Locker, and I'm looking forward to putting on display.
I know it's in the past now, but I'm just curious, that win against Wilder, I know in New Zealand everybody's obsessed with rugby union, but that win, it occurred to me that's a massive historic moment in New Zealand sport, isn't it? I mean, for an individual athlete, that's one of the biggest things.
I feel like it was, you know, but you know when you have a fight, you sort of celebrate, but then when you have another one sort of lined up and locked in, you don't really enjoy sort of the victory and the downtime. You sort of straight back into camp again. And I do feel like it was a massive win for New Zealand and Samoa, and hopefully we can celebrate it after a good win again with Zhilei Zhang.
He was just saying that. He said the problem with a boxing career is that you get to the end of it and you realise you haven't enjoyed it when you should have done.
I'm enjoying it all though. It's nice to be here.
Yesterday you saw Zhilei Zhang, we talked about it. You boxed him as an amateur as well. I've heard you talk about that fight. I've heard you talk about how you just looked up and there was this big man there. So what was it like yesterday? Because you're a big man now too.
Zhang is a very big man. Big head, big body, and I remember I was on holiday and they said to me, do you want to represent New Zealand overseas? I said, yeah, sweet. I wasn't in any shape and I got matched with Zhang. And I just remember thinking, holy moly. Like, there's big man then and there's big man now.
Well, listen, have a look at the big man making his way. Tell us what you see when you're looking at Zhilei Zhang. What do you think of this guy making his way now? He's a big guy, Joe.
He's a big man. Listen, what more can I say? He's a big man, very big man.
What did you make of his messages down the camera to you yesterday?
A lot of people had mixed messages on what he meant. I will, like, it's a very good slogan.
But you've promised to be explosive Joseph on Friday. Tell us about that.
I need to be smart. I need to be explosive. I need to be quick. I need to have good movement. And it's one of those things where you have to be very smart and box him and move and pick your moments, because he's a big, dangerous man with a big punch and big power.
We were just talking before we came over how activity has obviously been great for you. After the Joyce defeat, you got straight back in the January. Then you took that fight in Australia, which we were saying, somebody who's done what you've done, people don't really take those kinds of fights anymore, to be honest, but you did it because you wanted to stay active. So it's not a coincidence that when you look at this card, you and Joshua were the ones who really performed in December because you're the ones who've been active.
I feel like activity and keeping in camp and momentum and training and eating good and just doing everything right, you're obviously progressing more and getting better as a fighter. And we did do very well, Joshua and myself, and I feel it comes down to the momentum that we had keeping busy.
And Matt, that was basically what you said. You were talking about how activity was key and probably a key factor in Joe Parker's win over Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, because he was sharp. Because he's like, you know, to get sharp, it takes these camps take long, and then sometimes by the time you get there, you're a bit burnt out, not just physically, mentally, emotionally. You're in camp for a long time. But you know, when you're boxing and you're sharp, have a week off, back in the gym, you're boxing in 6 weeks. You stay sharp, and you actually get sharper again. You thought you were sharp for this fight, but you take that sharpness into this camp, and you're even sharper for the next one. So when you're boxing regularly, you get to your best. When you're boxing once a year, how can you be at your best?
How do you feel right now?
I agree. but also there's a fine line to not overtraining,
Yeah.
making sure you got the right balance, resting, eating well. It's fun. It's fun.
But I also think when you're boxing regularly, you're less likely to overtrain. When you haven't boxed for ages, you need longer to get fit. 'Cause you almost need to be in camp.
12 weeks, 15 weeks, whatever it is. Instead of 6 or 7
too
weeks.
long,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think it's too long too.
Yeah.
Did I see a few abs popping through yesterday, Joe?
It's nearly there. It's coming. Very
Something's
slowly.
happening down there, isn't it?
It's taken 11 years, but it's coming.
You've got yourself in some tremendous shape. How are you expecting to weigh in? How much heavier do you think this guy's going to be compared to you?
What is Zhang's weight?
I mean, the Joyce, he was like 270-ish.
I'll be about 111, 112. 245. Around about 245.
It's a big weight difference.
Pardon?
It's a big weight difference, Matt.
It is, but I think that he's not going to look to stand and have a strongman contest. Joe's going to try and use the ring, pick his moments in and out, let a few shots go, and then move. So being lied to will make him, it'll be easier for him.
Better, elusive, more movement, and hopefully duck all them shots that come my way.
Andy, one of the things you were talking about was about how you haven't seen Zhang in deep waters for a little while, and Joe Parker goes there.
Yeah, always, and I think for me that's still kind of something I wonder about with him. He did the 12 against Hrgovic, but it was a struggle.
Yeah, both fighters. They were both very exhausted and tired.
Exactly.
It was a big pace, hard pace fight.
Yeah, and we don't really know what he's like in the second half of a fight generally. And I was saying that, I saw him early in his career in a 4-rounder where he got dropped in the final round and very nearly lost. And I kind of wrote him off at that point as a really good 3-round amateur fighter, but that he wouldn't have the tank for pro boxing. And I'd say we still don't really know whether he does.
I definitely agree. At the beginning of his career, he was having issues going the distance. Recent times he has shown, but it's still questionable whether there's a lot more improvement or if he's still the same.
I don't know if you've seen the interview yet. I'm sure you've talked about it. Andy Lee did an interview with Boxing News where he sort of drew a diagram as to how the fight's going to go. He had Zhang throwing a straight left hand and you countering with that.
Check left hook. Boom.
Is that what's coming?
There's a lot of things coming from both sides. It's just that, we're visualizing different ways of how we're going to attack this and visualizing as well what he's going to do. And I think it's very important to have all these things in place, and you can pick your moments, pick your shots, and let it happen.